The ultimate betrayal. The transport ship trembled as it entered the toxic atmosphere of VX9, a planet known across the galaxy as the Death Trap. No species had ever survived more than a few days here. The sky burned red, the winds carried toxic gas, and massive creatures roamed the wastelands, waiting for their next prey. Inside the ship, Commander Jack Reynolds stood with his arms chained, his sharp blue eyes scanning the other prisoners. There were over 500 humans on board. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, and even civilians. They had been captured by the Galactic Dominion, an empire that controlled half the known universe. Jack clenched his fists as he thought about the betrayal. Humans had been loyal allies to the Dominion for years. They fought alongside alien forces, helped build their cities, and even contributed to their technology. But the moment humans became too strong, too smart, the Dominion saw them as a threat. So, they decided to get rid of them. The Dominion declared humans dangerous, unstable, unfit for the galaxy. The so-called allies turned their backs on Earth. Armies attacked human colonies, fleets bombed cities, and millions of people were either killed or captured. Jack and his team were among those taken as prisoners, promised a trial. But there was no trial. The ship's speakers crackled, and a voice filled the air. It belonged to High Chancellor Vexus, the Dominion's supreme leader. Humans, your time in the galaxy is over. VX9 will be your grave. No one will come for you. No one will save you. This is your punishment for daring to challenge the Dominion. The ship's doors hissed open. Cold, dry air rushed in. Soldiers shoved the prisoners forward, forcing them towards the exit. Some humans screamed in fear, others struggled, but the Dominion guards only laughed. Jack looked at the guards, his expression calm, but inside, he burned with rage. These aliens thought humans were weak, that they would die like the others who had been abandoned on VX9 before. But they had no idea what humans were capable of. As Jack stepped onto the rocky ground, he felt the heat of the planet pressing against his skin. The landscape stretched endlessly, cracked earth, jagged mountains, and thick clouds of poisonous gas that floated like ghosts. The Dominion ship hovered above them, its engines glowing. A Dominion officer, a tall creature with silver skin and glowing yellow eyes, smirked as he looked down at the humans. "Let's see how long you last." With that, the ship roared to life and vanished into the sky, leaving the humans alone. A heavy silence fell over the group. Some collapsed in shock, while others looked around, their eyes wide with terror. The sun was too bright, the air was too dry, and every breath felt like fire in their lungs. A scientist named Dr. Elena Carter coughed violently. "This planet is toxic. We can't survive here." Jack took a deep breath and forced his body to adjust. The air wasn't pure, but it was breathable in short bursts. He looked at the sky, then at the ground. "We're not dead yet," he muttered. A young soldier, Private Jenkins, shook his head. "But we will be soon. The Dominion didn't leave us with weapons, food, or shelter. How are we supposed to survive?" Jack stepped forward, his voice calm but strong. "Listen up. We can sit here and wait to die, or we can fight. The Dominion made one mistake. They thought we were weak. But they don't know us. They don't know what humans can do." People began to look at him, hope flickering in their eyes. Jack pointed towards the horizon. "We move. We find shelter. We find food. And if this planet wants to kill us, we'll show it why humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy." A few nodded. A few still looked terrified. But one thing was clear. No one wanted to die without a fight. Then the ground shook. A deep, rumbling growl echoed across the wasteland. Something huge moved in the distance, kicking up dust as it stalked towards them. The humans had just stepped foot on VX9, and already something was hunting them. Surviving the unthinkable. The ground trembled again. Something massive was moving towards them, kicking up dust and shaking the cracked earth beneath their feet. A deep guttural growl filled the air, vibrating in their chests like a war drum. The humans froze, staring at the swirling clouds in the distance. Jack tightened his fists, his soldier instincts kicking in. Whatever was coming wasn't friendly. "Everyone, move," he barked. Some scrambled backward, others hesitated, but the fear in their eyes was undeniable. Private Jenkins, still struggling to accept reality, looked at Jack with sheer panic. "W, we don't have weapons. What do we do?" Jack scanned the terrain like a battlefield commander. The land was mostly barren, but there were rocky outcroppings to their left, a natural high ground. If they could reach it, they might have a chance. "Get to the rocks. Now," Jack ordered. The humans ran, their breath ragged, the heat suffocating. The sun burned high in the sky, making every step feel like walking through fire. Behind them, the beast emerged. It was a nightmare made of muscle and armor, standing over 20 feet tall. Its thick hide was a dull black, covered in bone-like plating, with 6 legs that slammed into the ground with terrifying force. Its mouth split open into 4 jagged jaws, dripping with a thick, greenish liquid. "Mother of God," Dr. Carter gasped. The Dominion knew this planet was filled with horrors. They had deliberately left humans here to be hunted. But humans weren't prey. Jack grabbed a rock and turned to face the others. "We don't have weapons, but that doesn't mean we're defenseless." Jenkins, still breathing hard, grabbed a chunk of stone as well. "You want us to fight that thing with rocks? Are you insane?" Jack didn't look away from the creature. "You want to die running?" Jenkins hesitated, then gritted his teeth and clutched his rock tighter. The beast charged. The ground shook like an earthquake as it came barreling toward them, its 6 massive legs tearing apart the cracked earth. Its 4 jaws opened wide, revealing rows of jagged curved teeth. Jack acted instantly. He grabbed the nearest piece of metal wreckage from the ground, likely part of the transport ship's cargo, and hurled it directly at the creature's eye. Crack! The impact made the beast roar in pain, its head jerking back. That 1 second was all the humans needed. "Attack its weak spots," Jack shouted. Others followed his lead, throwing stones, metal debris, and anything they could find. The rocks bounced off its armored hide, but a lucky shot from Dr. Carter struck the soft flesh near its throat, making it stumble. Jack saw his chance. He sprinted directly toward the beast. "Jack, no!" Elena screamed. But Jack wasn't stopping. Humans weren't the ones being hunted today. As the beast swiped at him with a massive claw, Jack dropped low, skidding under its arm. He grabbed a jagged piece of debris from the ground and plunged it into the creature's exposed underbelly. The monster roared, rearing up in agony. Blood, thick and black like tar, poured from the wound. Jack rolled away just as the beast collapsed, convulsing violently before going still. For a moment, no one moved. The humans stared at the lifeless beast, their breathing ragged, their hands still gripping stones and metal. Jack wiped sweat and blood from his brow. "We kill or we die. We made our choice." Elena was the first to break the silence. She looked at Jack, then at the others. "If we can kill that thing, we can survive." Jenkins let out a shaky laugh, still catching his breath. "I thought we were dead for sure." "We still might be," Jack said, his tone serious. He pointed at the sky. "The Dominion's watching us, and now they know we're alive." The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. New objective: find shelter and food. The humans moved quickly, now understanding that this planet wasn't just dangerous, it was a battlefield. Jack and a small scouting team moved ahead while the rest gathered supplies from the wreckage. Dr. Carter examined the environment, searching for anything they could use. That's when she found it, a hidden entrance beneath the rocks. "Jack, over here," she called out. Jack ran over and saw it, a crack in the ground, leading to what looked like a cavern system. With no other option, Jack led the group inside. The cavern stretched deep underground, with walls covered in strange glowing crystals. More importantly, they found clean water dripping from the cave walls. Jenkins nearly cried. "We're not dead yet." Elena studied the crystals, her eyes wide. "Jack, this isn't just a cave. This planet has something the Dominion doesn't know about." Jack narrowed his eyes. "Explain." She touched one of the crystals, and a faint pulse of energy rippled through the air. They're not natural. Someone, or something, was here before us." Jack's stomach tightened. "Then we're not just fighting the planet. There's something else out there. And the worst part, whatever it was watching them." The secret of VX9. Jack Reynolds had been in many battles before, but this was different. He wasn't just fighting an enemy. He was fighting an entire planet. As the humans moved deeper into the underground caverns, the temperature dropped and the air became easier to breathe. The glowing crystals on the cave walls pulsed faintly, casting an eerie blue light. The deeper they went, the more unnatural it felt. Elena Carter, the lead scientist, ran her fingers across the crystals. "Jack, these aren't just rocks. They're power sources." Jack frowned. "Explain." Elena took a deep breath. "These crystals generate energy. And not just any energy. A type the Dominion doesn't use. Someone else, something else, was here before us." Silence filled the cavern as the meaning of her words sank in. Private Jenkins swallowed hard. "So, what are you saying? That this planet wasn't just a death trap?" "It was something else before," Elena said. "And the Dominion never figured it out." Jack looked around, his instincts screaming that something wasn't right. If the Dominion didn't know, then we just walked into something they were too scared to investigate. Suddenly, from the deeper tunnels, a sound echoed. A deep mechanical hum. Not a natural sound. Not a predator's growl. Something ancient. The group froze. Jenkins gripped his makeshift spear. "Tell me that was just the wind." Jack didn't answer. He motioned for the group to stay quiet, then signaled two soldiers, Ramos and Lee, to move forward with him. Carefully, they followed the sound, stepping deeper into the cavern. What they found changed everything. The forgotten machines. At the heart of the cavern, hidden beneath layers of rock, were massive structures. Towering metallic monoliths stood in perfect formation, humming with energy. The walls were covered in symbols, completely different from any known galactic language. But the most shocking part, at the center of it all was a massive circular doorway, built from the same glowing crystals. The energy pulsing through it wasn't just random, it was active. Jack exhaled. "This isn't just a cave, it's a facility." Elena's eyes widened. "Jack, I think this is a lost alien outpost. And these crystals, they could be powering something deep underground." Jenkins looked around nervously. "Okay, cool. So, are we in a good kind of ancient facility, or the "oh no, we accidentally woke up an unstoppable evil kind"?" No one answered. Jack slowly stepped toward the glowing doorway. He placed a hand against the surface, and the entire room came alive. The hum turned into a low mechanical rumble, and suddenly, the symbols on the walls shifted, rearranging themselves as if reacting to his touch. A voice, ancient, cold, mechanical, echoed through the chamber. "Energy signature detected. Access granted. Awakening process initiated." Jack stepped back immediately. "What the hell does that mean?" Elena's hand shook. "Jack, I think you just activated something. The Dominion's mistake." Meanwhile, high above VX9, in the cold void of space, the Dominion warship hovered in orbit. Inside the command deck, High Chancellor Vexus watched the live surveillance feed from the drones circling the planet. His 4 yellow eyes narrowed as he observed the humans moving inside the caverns. He turned toward his second-in-command, General Xerix. "I ordered their execution. Why are they still alive?" "Xerix, a reptilian warrior with razor-sharp fangs, hesitated. "Chancellor, it appears that the humans have, somehow, adapted to the environment." Vex's tail twitched in irritation. "Impossible. VX9 is a death world. No species has ever survived there." Xerix swallowed. "And yet, they are not just surviving. They are activating something." Vexes turned back toward the screen, watching as the glowing structures inside the caverns began to awaken. For the first time in his long reign, the High Chancellor felt a chill of unease. What have we done? The ancient awakening. Back inside the cavern, the air vibrated. The hum became a deep, rhythmic pulse, like a heartbeat. Jack grabbed Elena by the arm. "What's happening?" She barely had time to answer before the massive circular doorway began to open. A bright blue light poured from inside as the ancient facility activated for the first time in thousands of years. Then, the shadows moved. From the depths beyond the doorway, figures emerged. They were not human. Tall metallic beings, their bodies covered in glowing blue circuitry, stepped forward. Their eyes, if they even had them, burned with cold, artificial light. Jenkins whispered, "Oh, we are so screwed." The first of the beings turned its head toward Jack and spoke in a voice both mechanical and commanding. "Biological entities detected. You are not Dominion. Identify." Jack took a slow step forward. "We're human." The machines processed this. The symbols on the walls shifted again. And then, to Jack's shock, one of the figures knelt before him. Humanity, the lost warriors, the creators of fire. The cycle begins again. Jack's blood ran cold. Elena gasped. "Jack, I think we just woke up something that remembers us." "We were waiting for you," the machine continued. "It is time to reclaim your place." The humans stared. No one spoke. Then, for the first time since being abandoned on VX9, Jack realized that humanity had just found something more powerful than the Dominion itself. And now, the real war was about to begin. The forgotten warriors of VX9. The underground chamber pulsed with ancient energy. The air felt thicker, as if history itself was waking up from its long slumber. Jack Reynolds stood frozen, his heartbeat hammering in his ears. The metallic beings, tall, armored, glowing with an eerie blue light, had just spoken words that sent chills down his spine. Humanity, the lost warriors, the creators of fire. The cycle begins again. Jack clenched his fists, instincts screaming at him to stay alert. These things weren't just machines. They were ancient, powerful, and somehow they knew humans. Elena Carter, still breathless from shock, took a cautious step forward. You recognize us." The tallest machine, standing at the center, slowly turned its glowing gaze towards her. "You were the first. You were the fire that burned the darkness. And now you return at the end of the cycle." Jack narrowed his eyes. "What cycle?" The machine raised its three-fingered hand. Symbols along the cave walls shifted, forming moving patterns of stars, planets, and collapsing civilizations. Then the machine spoke again, its deep, synthetic voice vibrating through the room. "Long ago, before the Dominion, before any empire, there was only war. Endless, burning war. The strong crushed the weak. And then the first warriors arose. The images shifted, forming humanoid figures, strong, armored, battle-hardened." Elena's breath caught. "Are those humans?" Jack stepped closer, his mind racing. The figures in the hologram, they looked human. Not exactly like them, but close enough. Tall, powerful, carrying weapons unlike anything Jack had ever seen. The machine continued. The first warriors built empires. They brought order, but others feared them. A great betrayal occurred, and they were cast into the abyss, erased from history. The images shifted again, showing galactic fleets, planetary bombardments, fire raining down on entire worlds. Then, blackness. Jack clenched his jaw. You're telling me humans built something before all this? Before the Dominion? Not built. Conquered. Ruled. But they were betrayed, and the great cycle began anew. The symbols changed again, showing a repeating pattern. War, rise, betrayal, fall. Over and over. Jack exhaled, trying to process the implications. If what these machines were saying was true, then humans weren't new to the galactic stage. They had been here before. They had ruled before. And someone had wiped them out. Jenkins, who had been silently watching, suddenly laughed nervously. So what? We're like some ancient warrior species and we just forgot. Alina shook her head. Or someone made us forget. Jack turned back to the machine. What are you? The machine's glowing core pulsed. We are the Watchers. We were left behind to observe, to wait. And now, the signal has been sent. Jack's stomach dropped. Signal. The walls around them shook slightly, as if something far away had awakened. The cycle begins again. The lost warriors will rise. Meanwhile, aboard the Dominion flagship, High Chancellor Vexus paced inside the command deck, his normally calm demeanor cracking into pure frustration. The drones sent to monitor VX-9 had been blinded, their signals scrambled by an unknown interference. His second-in-command, General Exirix, bowed his head. Chancellor, something is happening on the planet. The humans have awakened something. Vexus turned, his yellow eyes glowing with fury. That planet was supposed to kill them. And now you're telling me they're thriving. Exirix hesitated. Not just thriving. They found something buried beneath the surface. An ancient facility. Vexus stilled, his long fingers twitching. Ancient. Exirix nodded, pulling up a holographic display. The planet was thought to be uninhabitable, but there were legends, stories of something older than the Dominion buried deep beneath the surface, something that no one dared to disturb. Vexus's face darkened. He knew what Exirix was talking about. Long ago, when the Dominion first expanded, they had discovered ruins on VX-9. Their scientists detected strange energy readings, but they ignored them, assuming it was a dead world. Had they made a mistake? Had they left something alive? Order an immediate planetary strike, Vexus commanded. Exirix stiffened. But no. The Dominion warship turned its massive weapons toward VX-9. They had made a mistake by underestimating humans once. They wouldn't make that mistake again. Back in the cavern, humanity's choice. The machines, the Watchers, stood motionless, their glowing eyes fixed on Jack and his people. Then, as if sensing something, the Watcher leader spoke. They are coming. The betrayers. The cycle repeats. Alina paled. Jack, I think the Dominion knows we found this place. Jack exhaled sharply. Then they're coming to finish the job. The Watcher leader turned toward him. You were once warriors. You must become warriors again. Jack stared at the towering machine. We don't have weapons. We don't have ships. How are we supposed to fight? The Watcher's glowing hand extended toward the cave wall. You do not need to build them. They are already here. The cave walls rumbled, and hidden doors slid open, revealing something that made every human gasp. Armories, war machines, ships, stored away for thousands of years. Jenkins's eyes nearly popped out. Holy hell! Is that a battle suit? Lined up inside the hidden chamber were rows of armored exosuits built for humanoid soldiers, weapons that looked far beyond Dominion technology. Jack took a slow step forward, running his hand across the metallic surface of an ancient rifle. It hummed in response, as if recognizing its rightful owner. Your ancestors fought the darkness, the Watcher said. Will you do the same? Jack turned to his people. There was no hesitation. They were done running. He grabbed the weapon, feeling the weight of a past long forgotten. Let's show them what humans really are. The awakening had begun. And this time, Humanity wasn't just fighting to survive. They were fighting to reclaim what was once theirs. The Dominion's final mistake. The air inside the ancient armory buzzed with energy as humanity took its first real step toward reclaiming its past. Jack Reynolds ran his hand over the surface of a sleek, black-armored exosuit, feeling the cold metal beneath his fingertips. The Watcher's ancient war machines had been left untouched for thousands of years, waiting, just waiting for the rightful warriors to return. And now, they had. Elena Carter's voice was barely above a whisper. Jack, these suits, these weapons, they weren't meant for the Dominion. They were meant for us. Private Jenkins, still processing what he was seeing, stepped forward and touched one of the humanoid combat suits. The moment his fingers brushed the surface, a holographic interface flared to life, scanning his body. The suit adjusted, fitting itself to human proportions. "Okay," Jenkins muttered, stepping back in awe. "That's really freaking cool." Jack turned to the Watcher leader, his jaw clenched. "These weapons, how do they work?" The towering machine's glowing blue optics flickered. "They recognize you. They were built for your kind. The Dominion never knew, because they are not the ones who were meant to wield them." Jack exchanged a glance with Elena. The Dominion had ruled the galaxy for centuries, yet they had never uncovered this technology, because they were never supposed to. And now, the true inheritors had arrived. Meanwhile, above VX9, the Dominion prepares to erase humanity. High Chancellor Vexus stood at the edge of the Dominion warship's command deck, his eyes burning with rage. VX9 should have been humanity's tomb. Instead, the humans had done the impossible. Not only had they survived, but they had found something that wasn't supposed to exist. Chancellor, General Xeric spoke carefully. "The orbital strike is ready. We can wipe them out now." Vexus' long, clawed fingers tightened into a fist. The Dominion had toyed with humans long enough. No more experiments. No more underestimating them. They would end it. Now. "Fire," Vexus commanded coldly. The Dominion warship's main batteries glowed massive energy cannons aligning toward the planet's surface. A single blast would be enough to erase every human still standing. A blinding sphere of red-hot plasma began to charge. VX9's execution was seconds away. Back in the armory, humanity's true power awakens. Inside the cavern, the ground trembled. The Dominion's attack had begun. Jack felt it. The static in the air. The unnatural hum of a weapon powerful enough to wipe out everything. "They're firing on us," Jenkins whispered. "This is it. We're dead." The Watcher leader turned toward Jack. "The betrayers come. Will you kneel, or will you fight?" Jack's eyes burned with determination. "We fight." The moment those words left his lips, the armory fully activated. The war machines came to life. Ancient exosuits powered up, energy cores glowing with a light that had been absent for millennia. Weapons unlocked, shifting and adjusting for human hands. And the ceiling split open. Elena gasped as the cavern above them peeled apart like a mechanical iris, revealing a hidden launch bay. Then, rising from the depths of the chamber, the final piece of humanity's forgotten arsenal emerged. A warship. It wasn't Dominion-built. It was human-built. Buried for thousands of years, hidden beneath the surface of VX9, waiting for the day when its pilots would return. Jack stared up at it, his breath catching in his throat. We were never prisoners. We were meant to find this. And now, the Dominion's worst nightmare was about to come true. Above VX9, the attack begins. The Dominion cannons fired. A massive burning sphere of destruction roared down toward the planet, moving at impossible speeds. High Chancellor Vexus smiled, watching from the safety of his ship. It's over. But then, something changed. A shockwave of energy erupted from the surface of VX9. The plasma blast never touched the ground. Instead, a barrier, a planetary force field, flared to life, stopping the Dominion's attack midair. Vexus's smile vanished. What? That's impossible. VX9 has no defense systems. But it did. And now it belonged to humanity. The rise of the last warriors. Back in the launch bay, Jack stood fully armored, the exosuit molding around him like it had been built just for him. Around him, every human had armed themselves, wearing the same advanced combat suits. Weapons hummed to life. The forgotten army of mankind was ready. Jack activated his helmet's comms. All units, prepare for launch. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Jenkins let out a breath. We're seriously doing this, huh? Jack smirked. You scared? Scared? Oh, absolutely. But also, this is the coolest thing ever. The Watchers stepped back, watching as humanity took its rightful place once more. It is time. With a deafening roar of engines, the first of the ancient warships lifted off the ground, rising through the hidden launch bay and streaking into the sky. The Dominion fleet above saw it too late. From the surface of VX9, a second energy shockwave erupted, scattering Dominion ships like leaves in a storm. Jack's voice was calm, steady, unwavering. We're taking back what's ours. The lost warriors had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. The battle for VX9, humanity's return to war. The nightmare of the Dominion had just begun. For centuries, they had ruled unchallenged, their power absolute. Civilizations bowed before them. Planets crumbled under their might. But now, for the first time in recorded history, someone fought back. And it wasn't some desperate rebellion. It wasn't an uprising of weak species praying for mercy. It was humanity. The lost warriors had returned. And they had come for war. Above VX9, the Dominion faces the impossible. High Chancellor Vexus stood frozen, his golden eyes wide as he stared at the impossible sight before him. The humans, the pathetic, primitive species he had sentenced to death, were rising from the planet in warships. Not just any warships. These were not Dominion craft. They were something older, something more advanced. Ships forged by warriors lost to history. Ships meant for a war that the Dominion had been trying to forget. Vex's claws tightened into fists. No, this is impossible. His second-in-command, General Exarix, was pale, his reptilian face stiff with fear. Chancellor, our scans confirm it. The humans have activated something on VX9. Vexus snarled. I can see that, fool. What I want to know is how. The holographic display in front of them flashed red, alerting the fleet of incoming enemy warships. Dominion vessels turned their cannons toward the approaching ships. All Dominion forces, fire at will. The first volley of plasma rounds roared through space, streaking toward the ancient human warships. The Dominion expected instant destruction. They expected the humans to be obliterated before they could even engage. But then, the shields activated. VX9 ships, built for a forgotten war, absorbed the attacks with ease. The energy dispersed harmlessly across their hulls, like raindrops against stone. And then they fired back. The first strike. Humanity unleashes hell. Inside the lead warship, Jack Reynolds sat in the command chair, his exosuit syncing with the ship's ancient systems. The controls were instinctive, as if they had been built for human hands. He could feel the ship responding to him, like it was alive, like it had been waiting for this moment. Jenkins, Jack said over comms, are you seeing this? Private Jenkins, stationed in the weapons control, let out a breathless laugh. Oh, I am absolutely seeing this, and I'm about to make the Dominion see it too. Jack's voice was cold. Fire. The first human warship launched its primary weapon, a blast of concentrated plasma energy, twice as powerful as anything the Dominion had ever seen, ripped through the void. The Dominion fleet didn't even have time to react. 3 battleships were instantly vaporized. The shockwave tore through their formations, sending Dominion cruisers spinning out of control. Panic spread like wildfire. This This isn't possible. One Dominion captain screamed over comms. Their technology, it's beyond anything we. A second human warship joined the assault. Then a third. And then, from the planet's surface, hundreds of ancient battle drones awakened, lifting into the sky like a swarm of metallic angels. VX-9 wasn't just a battleground. It was a fortress, a forgotten arsenal, buried beneath centuries of dust. And now, it belonged to humanity. The ground war begins. While the battle raged in orbit, the war on VX-9's surface had only just begun. The Dominion had deployed ground forces, expecting to wipe out the remaining humans. They had brought tanks, gunships, and heavily armed soldiers. They believed they were unstoppable. They had no idea what they were walking into. Jack and his squad deployed from their warship, landing deep within the wastelands. The moment their armored boots hit the ground, their exosuits adjusted to the terrain. The Watchers had equipped them with weapons far beyond anything the Dominion had ever seen. And now, they were ready to use them. Jenkins adjusted the targeting system on his arm cannon. "So, how do we do this, Commander?" Jack smirked beneath his helmet. "We show them why they should have killed us when they had the chance." The humans moved like ghosts, faster, stronger, more efficient than any Dominion soldier had ever seen. The first Dominion infantry squad didn't even know they were under attack until half of them were already dead. Jack moved through the battlefield like a predator, his energy rifle cutting through armored soldiers like paper. Jenkins jumped onto a Dominion tank, using his exosuit's enhanced strength to rip the hatch open before tossing a grenade inside. Boom! The entire tank exploded, taking out an entire column of enemy forces. Alina, using a Watcher-built sniper rifle, took down Dominion officers one by one, her shots silent and precise. For the first time in Dominion history, they were losing. They were running. The unstoppable empire had met something stronger, something older, something that refused to kneel. Humanity had returned to war, and they were winning. High Chancellor Vexus faces the truth. On board the Dominion command ship, Vexus was shaking with rage. This is not possible. He had seen great rebellions crushed. He had seen entire species erased for daring to defy the Dominion. But this was different. This wasn't a rebellion. This was a reckoning. Vexus turned to General Kyrix, his voice low, controlled. "Prepare the annihilation protocol." Kyrix paled. "Chancellor, if we do that, we will destroy our own fleet." Vexus' voice was ice. "Do it. The annihilation protocol. A last resort failsafe meant to erase entire planets. A weapon so horrifying, even the Dominion rarely used it." But before the order could be given, something happened. The space around VX-9 shifted. A new fleet arrived. A fleet bigger than anything the Dominion had ever faced. Not Dominion. Not human. Something else. Something older. Jack, still in the heat of battle, felt it too. His helmet's HUD flashed with a warning. "Unidentified fleet detected. Massive energy signatures incoming." Alina's voice crackled over comms. "Jack, what the hell is that?" Jack looked up at the sky. The Watcher leader's voice echoed in his mind. "The cycle begins again. The old enemies awaken." Jack's blood ran cold. This wasn't just about the Dominion anymore. Something else had been waiting in the darkness. And now, it was here. Humanity's final stand. The war that ends all wars. VX-9 was burning. The battle that should have been humanity's last breath had become something else, something much greater. The Dominion was losing. For the first time in their long, cruel history, they were not the hunters. They were the hunted. Jack Reynolds stood on the smoldering battlefield, his black exosuit covered in dust and blood, his weapon still glowing hot from the battle. Around him, human warriors in ancient battle armor moved like shadows, annihilating the once mighty Dominion legions. But now, everything had changed. The sky above VX-9 split apart, revealing a new horror. The unidentified fleet, the one that had been watching from the void, had finally arrived. And it wasn't Dominion. It was something older. Something worse. The arrival of the forgotten enemy. On the Dominion flagship, High Chancellor Vexus was no longer in control. He had spent his life believing the Dominion was invincible, the most powerful force in the galaxy. Now he was staring at a fleet that made his empire look like insects. Chancellor, General Tyrix's voice trembled. We are receiving a transmission. It's not human. It's not Dominion. Vexus clenched his fists. Then what is it? Before Xerix could answer, the ship's main display flickered, showing something that made every soldier on board freeze in terror. A shadowed figure, standing in a black void, its body unnatural, shifting between solid and liquid, as if it wasn't fully real. It had no eyes, no face. And yet, you were warned. The voice echoed directly into their minds. Cold, unforgiving, ancient. Not spoken in words, spoken in pure thought. A presence that had been watching from the dark, waiting. Vexus, for the first time in his life, felt fear. Who? What are you? He whispered. The shadowed figure tilted its head, as if amused. We are what you tried to erase. We are the first, the last, the rightful rulers of this galaxy. And you are nothing. Jack faces the truth of humanity's past. Back on VX9, the Watcher leader turned toward Jack, its blue eyes pulsing. It has begun. Jack clenched his jaw. What has begun? Who the hell are they? The symbols along the cave walls shifted, forming images of a forgotten war, millions of years ago. Elena Carter, still covered in battle dust, stared in horror. Jack, this isn't just history. This is a warning. The Watcher leader's voice was calm, unshaken. Long ago, before the Dominion, there was an empire greater than any other. They ruled everything, every star, every planet. They believed they were gods. The images moved, showing a vast empire of shadow-like beings ruling over galaxies with an iron fist. Jenkins, still gripping his rifle, swallowed hard. Wait, you're saying they ruled before? The Watcher nodded. And then they were overthrown by the only species strong enough to defeat them. Jack's heartbeat slowed. He already knew the answer. Humans, he whispered. The Watcher turned its glowing gaze to him. You were the ones who destroyed them. You were the ones who burned their empire to the ground. But you failed to finish the job. And now, they have returned. The final war begins. The black ships of the forgotten enemy descended from the void, their very presence warping space-time. Nothing about them was natural. They did not move like machines. They flowed, shifting, bending, as if they were not bound by the laws of reality. Jack watched as the first Dominion warship tried to fire. And then, in an instant, it was gone. Not destroyed, not broken, just erased, like it had never existed. Jenkins took a step back. Guys, I think we might be in serious trouble. Jack tightened his grip on his rifle. No, we've come too far. We fight. Elena turned to the Watcher leader. If humans fought them before, how did we win? The Watcher's voice was grim. With fire, with war, with everything you had. And by sacrificing everything. Jack exhaled. Then we do it again. The human fleet, old but powerful, turned to face the new enemy. The Dominion forces, desperate to survive, turned their weapons as well. For the first time in history, humanity and the Dominion would fight on the same side. Because if they didn't, there wouldn't be a galaxy left to fight for. Jack's final stand. The enemy descended, their ships dark, silent, shifting like nightmares. Jack stood at the helm of his warship, his exosuit glowing with ancient energy. His people, his soldiers, his species, stood behind him. And Jack did what no one had done in millions of years. He challenged the darkness. I don't care what you are. I don't care what you were. This is our galaxy now. And we're not letting you take it back. The enemy ships swarmed forward, and humanity charged to meet them. The last war, the battle that followed, would be spoken of for eternity. VX-9 burned. Ships exploded in the void. The Watchers, once silent observers, joined the fight, unleashing forgotten weapons against their ancient enemy. The Dominion, desperate for survival, unleashed every last weapon they had. And humanity stood at the front of it all. They had been betrayed, hunted, erased from history, and yet they refused to kneel. The enemy was powerful, more powerful than anything the galaxy had ever seen. But they had made one fatal mistake. They thought humanity would surrender. They thought this was the end. They were wrong. The final blow. Jack's warship, burning and battered, pushed through the chaos. He could see the enemy flagship, its form constantly shifting, reality itself warping around it. It was invincible. Unless Jack made his choice. He activated the ship's final weapon, a weapon built millions of years ago, meant for one purpose: to end this war, to end them. Jack turned to his crew. This is it. For Earth, for every world they tried to erase. He launched the weapon. A beam of pure, white-hot energy tore through the void. And in that moment, the enemy screamed. Not in words, not in sound, but in pure, agonizing defeat. The flagship erupted. Their fleet collapsed. And the war that had begun millions of years ago finally ended. The dawn of a new era. VX-9 was silent. The Dominion was shattered. The old enemy was gone. And humanity had won. Jack Reynolds, battered, bruised, and victorious, stood among the wreckage. He looked up at the sky, at the stars that now belonged to them again, and he smiled. We were never the ones trapped on this planet. They were.